Hello again, and welcome to our look at the September 16th trading session for Tuesday. Economic calendar is up in front of you, and you can see that nothing's going on in Asia really as far as announcements, but we have an absolute ton of announcements coming out of the UK to start the day. A lot of these are minor, but when you get this much information, you have to believe that the action is going to be in the pound and the FTSE, with the caveat of Scottish independence being voted upon on Thursday. That, of course, is going to have center stage. That being said, I do believe that the year-over-year CPI will more than likely move the markets a bit. 1.5% is anticipated. Look for that, a good number to help the FTSE and the British pound. But the reaction may be a bit more subdued than usual because of that Thursday vote. A little later in the session, a few minutes later, we have the PPI input month over month expected to be -0.4%. Going forward, German ZU current conditions expected to be at 40, and German ZU economic sentiment at 4.8. That's the number you want to pay attention to. The economic sentiment numbers out of Germany do have an effect on the DAX, obviously, but also the euro. Looking at the U.S. session, we have a couple of announcements coming out. We have PPI month over month, anticipated to be 0.1%, as well as core PPI month over month, also 0.1%. Probably will affect basically the U.S. stock indices. Any good news should send them higher. After that, really we don't have much that will move the market specifically. API weekly crude stock and distillerates stocks possibly might move the petroleum markets, but beyond that we're looking at more or less localized numbers. So with that, let's take a look at some of the charts. The big mover of the day in the euro dollar pair is going to be the German ZU numbers. We still think that the 130 level is very bearish, so every time we rally, we're actually thinking more along the lines of buying puts, basically fading the rally. If we can get above 130 on a daily close, that would change things, at least for the short term. But right now, we are still buying puts with the euro. The British pound looks like it wants to roll over a little bit, and that probably will be the case for a moment. Above 163, though, is very bullish because that breaks the top of a hammer on the weekly chart. We, at this point in time, believe that buying short-term puts will be the way to go going forward. But eventually, the closer we get to the Scottish referendum, it would not be surprising to see this market try to front-run that number a little bit, that vote, and go higher. But in the meantime, it does look like we might be a little bit on the soft side. Look to the FTSE to be pretty reactive to the numbers today. Really, probably bouncing around in this general vicinity, perhaps going back to the 6,900 level. We don't have any interest in buying puts. We think there's just far too much in the way of support below. So perhaps buying calls on better than anticipated economic numbers might be the route to go, but with limited scope in our opinion. And as you can see, the S&P 500 is in fact forming a bit of a hammer during the session. It looks like we could get a bit of a bounce. If we can get back above 1990, we would be buyers of calls heading towards the 2010 level. Whether or not we can break out in the short term might be a completely different story, but it really does look like a market that is fairly well supported down to about 1950-ish. So at this point in time, we're either buying calls or we're staying on the sidelines. And with that, we have looked at the upcoming Tuesday, September 16th trading session.